So this is Frank and Angie with DiscoverCuencaEcuador.com and DiscoverQuitoEcuador.com, and we're talking to Andrea and Hunter that have just arrived here in Cuenca, Ecuador. Beautiful Cuenca, beautiful day.
Beautiful day.
Amazing people. You folks had some experience that you wanted other people to know about because it's so important that's happening right now, and it's one of the things we outline in our Do-It-Yourself Cuenca guide is that the laws are tinkered with and they're changed around all the time, so it's impossible and really futile to try to give people a specific way of doing things when all they're going to do is just change them in a month or two anyway.
Absolutely.
So I think Andrea and Hunter are going to talk about their experience with the immigration and paperwork and some of the changes and what people can do maybe to be prepared for that. So what happened?
Well, we had just made a decision after studying and learning for a long period of time that we wanted to come here. So about 4 months ago, I began the process of gathering all of our documentation. And along the way, I was able to meet a lot of people over the internet in various mediums, and they gave me a lot of information as they also submitted their paperwork for their immigration visas, whether it's investment visas or retirement visas. And about a month ago, some things became apparent that people were experiencing no matter where they were filing their paperwork, that the rules changed suddenly, abruptly, that these certified copies of birth certificates must be less than 60 days old. Divorce decrees also need to be recent. Marriage certificates, even if a person is divorced, must be presented for women. I'm assuming not for men. I haven't had any experience with that. But to verify a woman's change of name, even if she went back to her maiden name, it may be a requirement because you have to verify your marital status by either single, divorced, or widowed.
Now, was all of this different than what you had when you originally got started doing your paperwork? You noticed all of this has started changing around all of a sudden?
Yeah, and more people were saying it. So, really it was probably closer to 6 weeks ago that this change had started. So then I needed to scramble and get extra copies. And then there was some issues that also came up with the Social Security or income benefits verification letters, that they must be not only notarized and apostilled, they also must be taken to the Ecuadorian consulate in the United States alone, in person, and be certified by them there. And
now this is a big change.
Big change.
Because having to travel all the way to, it just depends on where you live, but it could be...
Right. It was, we ended up having to fly to the nearest consulate.
And if you're still in the States, that's mildly inconvenient or so.
But manageable.
But manageable. But if you're here, and you
almost
have to
impossible.
Fly all the way back there, and some people don't want to do that, or it's just too expensive. They don't have the money.
The expense is extreme because you not only have your airline tickets, but probably someone to stay if that consulate's not in your hometown or whatever. So yeah, it was a big expense, and it was.
So now you said that you checked, because I want people to know. You said you checked with a lot of different Ecuadorian consulates to confirm whether that was actually a necessity.
I called almost every Ecuadorian consulate in hopes that I would be able to overnight that information to have them in the States, all of the consulates in the United States, and hoped that they would allow me to overnight them the information. They would verify it, do the certification, and send it back if I enclosed that self-addressed priority mail or whatever it needed to be. And they refused. Now, people up to that point, for a few weeks prior, had been able to mail those letters to them, and they would certify it and send it back. Then they suddenly
there's no warning. There's
no
just
warning.
Changes, and
there's nothing on their website that indicates that you would need all of that information. Initially, they actually told me yes, because I had a name change and a divorce, that I would have to provide my divorce decree. That didn't seem like any problem, and ultimately I thought, well, if they need the name change, my divorce decree does not show my maiden name in the divorce because I didn't revert back to that, so maybe I had better, in my mind, thinking I need that marriage certificate. So I made arrangements to get that, and then the hammer fell there for everyone else too. You must have your marriage certificate. And for my father, he had to not only show my mother's death certificate as a widow, we also had to provide them with that marriage certificate. So that was a little bit trickier because they'd been married almost 50 years ago. But the copies were still available in the state that they were married, and we were fortunate. But my only, at this point, I'm not sure how loving they're going to take those copies because they were handwritten. It's a photocopy. It's been certified by the state. It has been apostilled, but it's an old, handwritten type of certificate.
So he did get that apostilled.
They did apostille it, so I'm very hopeful that it will be accepted. And
because in America, back in those days, a lot of the records were just a handwritten record in the Bible that people kept just as that was a record.
Exactly. And so we were lucky. Not everyone's going to be that fortunate, I think, and to be able to get that if they've been married for a very long period of time. Not every state.
So I think you were fortunate that you were still in the States when you realized all these changes, and so you just decided to overdo things and get more paperwork than, what were your words?
Yeah, it was kind of overkill. I have an abundance of paperwork. What I felt that I needed to do after these things changed was make sure that I could document every day of mine and my children's and my father, because I'm taking care of his paperwork for him, is document basically every avenue of life from birth until now. And as it happened, I was fortunate to have done that and already had things in the works because it is a necessity now. So marriages, adoptions, births, every aspect of all of those things needs to be documented, certified, apostilled,
and we'll
translated.
have a checklist in the do-it-yourself guide, an updated checklist. So we appreciate all that information. All right.
Well,
super.
Thank you very much, Andrea and Hunter.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Sure.
Enjoy Cuenca.
We are.
Already, yeah.